Hey folks, Kip Adams from the National Deer Association here. We're out enhancing habitat for deer. We have this old field. This used to be a pasture. We have a cattle operation. This is full of cool season perennial grasses. Great for cows, not good for deer at all. What we have done is we're going to convert this to an old field or this broadleaf plants, forbs, stuff that's great for deer. Now, what we've done, we actually have sprayed this with glyphosate. You can see this is all brown behind us. We could just leave this now and allow nature to take its course and some more of the broadleaf stuff to come up through. We have essentially removed the carpet here. We actually, though, we're going to take the next step, though, and we are going to burn this. We're going to run a fire through here and burn all this thatch off. That exposes more of the soil to the sun, allow it to take action faster. The soil here is full of seeds, some of which aren't good for deer, many of which are, though. So we're going to save money by not planting it, take advantage of what is here, and greatly enhance this for deer. So we'll burn this off, but then we are going to take one more step. We actually are going to broadcast some clover onto this before we let it go and let it revert to an old field. That essentially will mean then we have all this broadleaf plants coming in here. We'll have good cover for deer, and we'll have this clover base, which is going to provide an outstanding food source. So we've already sprayed it. We'll show you now we're going to burn it. Then we're going to broadcast clover onto it, and then we're going to cultipack it to get good seed to soil contact and have absolutely outstanding habitat for deer, and hopefully shoot a deer over this fall. We start our test fire in the most downwind section of this, and as you can see, it's all green behind me. Essentially, that is our fire break. We have a sea of green around. This field would never burn if we hadn't sprayed it with glyphosate and killed all this. So you always want to make sure you have something safe around it. That offers a disc fire break. In this case, we have a green one. We couldn't burn that if our life depended on it, given the conditions that we have today. Humidity's in the high 40s, low 50s. So that just means there's no way that fuel moisture is low enough to ever be able to burn. So it creates a very safe situation around our burn unit. There's many different firing techniques we can use. The wind is going away from us. What you just saw Bo come through here and do is called a flank fire. Essentially, we have a black line on the other end. The fire is backing into the wind. Then we did a couple strip head fires to let the wind push the fire. So we have a good clean area where there's no way, there's just no more fuel to burn. So it's very safe. And then we can burn it out with more strip headings, which means we come parallel to where you see all the smoke, let the wind blow it in, or what Bo just did is called a flanking fire. So he walks into the wind and allow the fire then to grow and actually push a little bit into the wind, as well as go a little bit sideways. So you can run many flanks off the main where the fire is, and then those provide great strategy for consuming that vegetation while being able to very easily control the intensity of the fire. The crackling that you hear in all the white smoke is because there's a bunch of moisture in this vegetation. So even though we have sprayed this, it's the spring of the year, so there's just a lot of moisture. Humidity's pretty high, so that's what you're seeing here. And actually now the clouds have kind of came back in, so the smoke is not getting up as high. It's great to burn on those bluebird days. The smoke goes way up in the air and gets out. It's laying down a little here. We're nowhere near any highways though, or any homes or anything like that we have to worry about the smoke with. But one thing that is pretty cool to be able to take a look at here is you can spray any vegetation that you would like to burn during the year, particularly during the growing season. And then depending on where you are, you get 2 to 3 weeks after you spray before you have to burn it. And where I say that is we sprayed this almost 3 weeks ago, and because of the rain we have, this is actually already starting to green back up inside it. If we waited any longer, this would be too much live fuel in here that even though we had this sprayed, we would have a very difficult time being able to run fire through it. So depends on the amount of precipitation you get and how quickly things green back up. But just keep in mind, if we waited a month or 5 weeks to try to burn this after spraying, there's no way we could have. So you usually have a pretty short window there. So depending on where you are, make sure you monitor that closely to be able to get that effective burn that you're looking for. It's always important to monitor the fire behavior that we have here. So you want to watch the humidity, the moisture of these fuels, because what we have, you see very low flame lengths. This is not an overly intense fire. We're basically just consuming this dead vegetation that's here, this dead thatch. But the same stuff, if the humidity was much lower today, the fire behavior would be very different. So that's why it's always important to monitor what the humidity is, what the wind speed is. And right now we're in the high 40s for humidity. That's a very safe level. And in many cases, that's about the upper limit of what you can get stuff to burn. Anything a little higher than that, you just simply don't have enough. We we have a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind. That's actually helping us today to push this fire through some of this. So just understanding a little bit about fire behavior can make sure that you're keeping your burn well within acceptable limits and safe limits. Accomplish what you're trying to do here, whether the fields or the woods or whatever it is, at the same time ensuring that you are very safe. It's important during the fire to continue to monitor conditions. We have a Kestrel unit, which allows me to always know exactly what the temperature is, what the humidity is, because that has a lot to do with fire behavior. But then once it's done, make sure you go in and check and see, hey, what effect did I get? If we take a look here, we ended up with, for most of this burn, somewhere around 50% humidity. And you see, we didn't even end up consuming all of the dead thatch that's there. Higher humidity, we would have got even less. Lower humidity, it would have done more than this. But every time that you burn, it's important to monitor that so you know exactly what to expect, but then go and check and ground truth yourself and see if that's what you got. As you can see, we have right down to dirt here. We are now going to go in and actually broadcast that clover on this. But as a general rule of thumb, wherever you are, within 2 rains, you're going to see green stuff right here. So whether that's 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, or whatever, in most cases after that second rain, the seeds that are already here are going to be greening up again. We're going to make sure we have that clover on there as well so that they perform a great base here, or provide a great base of food in this old field. Well, you can see behind me, most of the field is consumed now. One of the cool things though when you're doing this is you get to learn a lot of other things about the field that you may not recognize at first, such as this is a 6-acre field. You know, deer obviously cross this, and you know, you wonder where exactly do they probably cross. I'm guessing it's probably somewhere right in here. Take a look at this where they come out. This field, they have traveled here enough that there was just enough moisture on this deer trail. This was not visible at all before the field was burned, but as it goes all the way down through here and actually comes all the way from one end of the field to the other. So we have mentally marked both ends of this where this main trail is, and we'll use that to our advantage this fall. Turn it on. Cultipacking is a great way to make sure we get good seed to soil contact here, but it's not the only way. I'm lucky, I grew up on a farm, we had a cultipacker. If you don't have a cultipacker, no worries, you can still do this. The idea is then just to timely broadcast your seed, if possible, just before rain. We have a good prepared seed bed now. Put that seed on it, let that rain actually beat that in, and that will work phenomenal for getting good seed to soil contact if you don't have a cultipacker or a roller or something to be able to do that for you. So for more information on how to enhance habitat or for anything else deer related, be sure to check us out online at deerassociation.com.